welcome to our Plugs Community Connection. I am your host, DJ Kitty Cat, with my sister co-host, Miss Morningstar on WKRA 92.7 FM The Change. If you're looking for the best in news, current events, community outreach programs, and shopping connections, you've come to the right place. We've got a great mix of content and community connections lined up for you this evening, along with special guest interviews. So, grab your favorite drink of choice, turn up the volume, and let's get into it.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning, WKRA 92.7 The Change. I am your host, DJ Kitty. I'm here with my co-host, Miss Morningstar from Our Plugs, the Community Connection, where we talk about the community and how we all stay connected. I hope everyone's having a beautiful morning. I know it's another great day to be alive. It's Monday morning and we are here.
Yes, ma'am. We are here.
How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. Always too fast, but hey, it was all around pretty good.
Can't complain. It's a blessing to have a weekend where I didn't have to actually go into the office, and I was home with the family, spent some time with the grands, and just tried to relax as much as possible. So today is another week. It's the second week in March, and we've got plenty to talk about, as usual.
Yes,
and we're
do.
going to stay on a positive note today. Let's try and stay positive all week long. Like, if possible, let's try and stay positive as much as
think we try to. I think we really do.
Yeah,
considering the type of climate we live in, we it's a reality, but I think we do our best.
That's all we can do. Nothing beats a failure but a try, and we can try every day to find something positive to talk about, think about, and speak about.
All right.
So for those of you out there listening, please grab you something to drink, some water. Hope you've had your water already, and or a cup of coffee, and let's get into it. So we have first on deck our affirmation queen, Mrs. Morningstar, to give us a great affirmation. Go ahead, sis.
All right, so let's get into it. And in light of today being Health Day, Monday's our Health Day, I wanted to do an affirmation that I think would be a good reflection of what our sister Bunny talks about when it comes to our health. So this one is, I'll go ahead and start. My body deserves care and attention. I am balanced in mind, body, and spirit. I embrace health changes in my life. My well-being is essential to my success. I feel like that's something we should repeat to ourselves when we wake up in the morning, because a mind is so powerful. And when you tell yourself to try to be healthy and try to do the right thing, and you have to constantly remind yourself. The second part to that is your body can do anything. It's your mind you need to convince. So every workout is progress, no matter how small. Embrace the pain and push past your limits.
I'm going to try. Every workout, you say with every workout, I'm going to try my best to embrace the pain. I don't even think it's the pain of the actual workout. It's the pain of the aftermath from the workout that I have.
Too.
Yeah, that
too.
But
I know that in prior settings with Bunny, she always spoke about do 30 minutes a day. Go slow at it. Whether it's walking, whether it's a brisk walk, count it and push yourself and just do it. So, just little words of encouragement. I know it's
30
tough,
minutes.
It's tough.
but you got to do it. You know, you got
Yeah,
to
it's
do it. What's
tough.
30 minutes? You know, we can all jump into 30 minutes. You know, we just spend that swiping through social media. So
We
30
do.
minutes, and you can actually, you know, listen to a good song and some good music while you're walking briskly.
You
Um,
can.
so let's try and incorporate that. And luckily, the temperatures are kind of cooperating. It's not too hot, not too cool. Out
Mm-hmm.
in Holly Springs today, it's going to be a high of 69 and a low of 41. Some light rain, about 80% cloud coverage, but for the most part, it's going to be a beautiful day for the next couple of days. It's going to be pretty sunny all the way up until Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this weekend in Mississippi, it's going to be, there's some showers that are coming your way, but you can always
Not
walk.
bad.
Yeah, and it's not bad. It's not snow. So as long as it's not snow, I always think that it's a good day. As long
I
as it's
know
not
that's
snowing.
right. And believe in freezing temperatures.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
That's the
Nobody likes that.
no, no. And you know, we're kind of spoiled being in Texas down here where we don't really have to deal with the freezing temperatures and the snow. Well, we shouldn't, but sometimes, you know, we get a little bit like
We do.
months ago, you know, a month ago, we got freezing ice and water and actual snow. So that was a shocker, but you know, most
Right.
times it's pretty, you know, decent weather.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go ahead and hop into it. Let's go ahead and hop into current events. So I did see a story about Elon Musk losing $7 billion. And I think it's hilarious. $7 billion because he let his mouth overrun his behind. You know, used to
Hmm.
say that. Don't let your mouth overrun your behind. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me more about it.
So Elon decided to lie on Carlos Slim, who's one of the richest men in Latin America. And
Mm.
he controls the media, the internet, you know, sources like that. And Elon had Starlink down there. Well, that simple lie that he X'd or tweeted or whatever you want to call what he does with the social media, his thumb thugging,
Mm-hmm.
cost him $7 billion because Mr. Slim canceled all business deals with Starlink, all of them,
Woohoo!
and moved it to China and Europe. You get what you get. Maybe just maybe keep your mouth closed. And this is who they're putting over in our government.
Well, I'm gonna just say this. Sound like Elon is having a bad week or having starting off with a bad day. Starting this week off pretty bad. It appears alleged
Alleged.
because in contrast to what you're saying, as far as him losing that deal, they had another cabinet meeting. It was held in the White House, I believe, with the
Mhm.
cabinet officials and Mr. Donald Trump. And so Elon got into kind of a back and forth with a few of the cabinet members because
Shuffle.
they're not impressed nor happy with all this firing of their employees that he's been doing, and this making decisions without their consent. So there was a back and forth between him and Mark Rubio, between I'm not sure what the name of who the person is over the FAA.
Mm-hmm.
It was also with the Department of Veteran Affairs, the chief of that, the secretary of the Department of Veteran Affairs. So it was a lot going on. And of course, DT just sat there and kind of with his arms folded, probably not too clear what was going on, but
Has no clue.
he there. But his decision in the end, because they were all back and forth and it was getting a little hostile, he
Well, upset.
said, listen, the Doge Group and Elon are going to just be advisors.
How about you advise folks and mind your own business? You have
So they're going to be the advisors, and the cabinet members will be the final decision makers on who is going to be let go and whatnot over their own agencies. At this point, we found out they're trying to cut 83 million,
million. No,
or no,
83,000.
83,000, I'm sorry, 83,000 VA employees, which will absolutely be detrimental to the VA medical facilities where veterans are attempting to get their care. It would definitely cause a dent and be detrimental. So all they do is cause destruction.
That's it.
All these 45, 50 days have been full of heartbreak, letdown, destruction, sabotage.
And that's all they can do, because at the end of the day, you've got some children going in there and claiming to be auditors when all they are hackers and allegedly. And they're going in and they're touching things that they have no idea. They don't know. Elon doesn't even know. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's not like he started and he went and he had the designs for his cars and his trucks. He just bought the company. He has no idea. He took the money that his family, got from ill-gotten gains, if you want to know the truth about it, because, they colonized where they were at in South Africa. And he took that money and he went out and bought companies, and he bought Starlink, and he bought all these companies, and he's cosplaying,
Yeah,
pretending to be
yeah,
this smart person. And anyone with half a brain can understand that just because you bought it doesn't mean you actually know anything about it. And anyone with half a brain would know that if you're truly going to do an audit, you would have accountants and CPAs, and they're doing audits. I'm in the middle of an audit right now. Hopefully this will be my last week doing my audit for my black job, my company that I work for. You're not an auditor. These are children
yeah,
that went in there.
yeah.
And they went in there and they started touching things. And my question is, so all the people that they've already fired, are they going to rehire these people? Because obviously the FAA, they need to call everybody back so the planes will stop falling out of the sky.
Yeah, because there was another one that just fell in and out of the sky into a residential area yesterday in Pennsylvania.
And there's going to continue to be, because you don't have enough air traffic controllers, and you think it was a good idea
And you
to
want to fire
fire these
more.
people.
Yeah, you want
And
to
you
fire
want
more.
more. Elon and the secretaries are arguing because he wants more cuts, but he's not willing to take a cut from his government contracts that he's getting paid millions a day for.
Right.
If you want to cut something, how about start with his government contracts? How about start with stop paying for uh, DJT to golf,
Yeah.
the Super Bowl, NASCAR? Stop doing all these. That's unnecessary, wasteful spending, not people who are actually servicing the
Right.
community. You're going to do cuts to the VA. These are our veterans that need to be seen by doctors. And now you want to do cuts to that. These are people who need to claim their benefits, and now you want to cut these departments. It makes no sense, but here we are. And until somebody stands up and says no and maybe impeach, here's where we will be.
In in
I
more, in more news, what I read up on, allegedly, well, pretty much confirmed, someone came to the White House yesterday, armed, um, looking for DT, allegedly, and was pew-pewed. That's the words we use on TikTok. By the Secret Service, got into a confrontation. Was heavily armed. Heavily armed. So, all this to be said that people are going to snap with certain things like benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, VA benefits. You know, we don't know what the state of mind of people are. Like when you lose everything, we don't
Everything.
know the state of mind. A lot of people have PTSD issues and are struggling with mental health issues. We just don't know.
No, we don't.
And
And
you,
the people that would know, especially our vets, the ones that are dealing with those who are struggling, and the ones who have PTSD, and the ones who may need to pick up a phone and speak with someone, those services were cut.
yeah, yeah.
So you are taking away your protections as well, DJT. You know, you're taking away the people who can help those who are having those mental breaks,
Mm-hmm.
maybe to talk them down. You're doing away with them as well. So what sense does it make? But you know, the FAFO is real, and there's only so much people can take.
That's why I say, you know, what is the end game? You know, what's their end game? You know, and I don't think they have one. I think this is just do as much as we can, make as much money as we can,
Still not make,
and
still
steal as much
as
money as
money
we
as we can.
can.
Yeah.
Hurt the people who hurt us, because hurt people hurt
Hmm.
people. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. And you know, we just gotta stay focused, everybody. We really do. This is not the time to get distracted with the like innuendos that they put out there. People put messages out there about Chauvin, you know, getting out of prison, and
Derek Chauvin.
yeah, Chauvin getting out of prison, and one, you know, trying to route us, like get us rallied up and get us
It's not gonna work.
angry and want us to go out, and we're not doing it. We're
No.
not going out into these streets. We're not doing it. So
Yeah.
y'all can stop with that. You know,
A dog whistle.
yeah, let's just stay focused
Yeah.
on the problems,
Yeah.
the current problems.
Yeah, when it comes to situations like that, you know, we've seen on social media so
Mm-hmm.
many other groups, not us, not the 92% or the 82% or whatever, not us. We see these commentators saying, well, what about, you know, why isn't the Black community marching with us or showing up at the town halls? We did our part November 5th. We're not doing it. We're not doing anything more than what we're doing here, and that's galvanizing and uniting.
That's
And
right.
all that extra, that is a dog whistle, and we know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
See, in my opinion, the thought process was they were going to do all these outlandish things that we knew would hurt our community, and they anticipated that we would come out and march, and you know,
Yeah.
because we've always marched. That was our go-to, marching, and they anticipated that we would march so that they could come and bring out the tanks and the helicopters and the rubber, you know, bullets and the smoke and all that they did during Black Lives Matter rallies,
No.
so that they would do it again, so he could, you know, proclaim martial law, so
Mm-hmm.
he could, you know, feed into his narrative. But we're resting, and we are doing an economic boycott, if nothing else. We are not feeding in to their narrative. We're not feeding the bears. Target, how you doing? I hear your stocks are down. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. You are listening to Our Plugs, the Community Connection. I'm your host, DJ Kitty. I'm here with my sister, Mrs. Morningstar. We have a great show this evening. We are going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about um, making sure that we are okay in our community. We have some wonderful guests tonight. Our sister, our co-host, Gail Thorpe, will be joining us here shortly. We will be right back after our first commercial break.
Let's go.
Let's go. Here we go. Opalmay Simplistic Beauty is hair care and skincare in a bottle. Take a quick survey and let us design your own formula. Go to ourplugs.com, look for Opalmay Simplistic Beauty, and we can get your formula out to you as soon as possible. We hope to hear from you soon. Have a great day.
Timeless elegance. Redefine class. Welcome to Morningstar Boutique by Tam, where fashion at its finest, fashion that brings out your inner cuteness, and styles that make you go, oh girl, where you get that from? Check me out at www.morningstarboutique.com or at ourplugsllc.com. Can't wait to see you.
Hello, my name is Diva Carter, the founder. Hello, my name is Diva.
Welcome to Nutrition You Design. Finally, your place to really get to the bottom line of your health with our functional nutritionist Gail Thorpe on board. You have a caring practitioner to get to the root cause of your health concerns when all else fails. At Nutrition You Design, we specialize in women's health, anywhere from hormones, fibroids, menopause. We have you covered. With over 200 specialty lab tests, we are like your personal health detective. We offer customized meal plans, genetic testing, stress management, and a host of other offers to really get you healthy. Be sure to book your consultation at nutritionyoudesign.com or give us a call at 877-898-5130. You can also find us at ourplugs.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
And we are back. We had a few technical difficulties with one of our commercials, but we'll play it again so you guys can actually hear that. We are back with WKRA 92.7 The Change. I'm your host, DJ Kitty. I'm here with my co-host, Miss Morningstar from Our Plugs, the Community Connection. And today we are talking with Gail Thorpe with Nutrition You Design. And let's go ahead and bring her up.
All right, let me go ahead and bring her to the stage.
Yes, ma'am, and let's get right into it.
Good evening.
Good
Good
morning.
evening.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, you
Yes,
sound
ma'am.
really good. Hey, Bunny.
Oh, okay. Good morning, sisters.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
Hey, you know me. I have my tea in hand, so I have to have my tea. That helps me to just get myself together.
I hear you, girl. I hear
Absolutely.
you. My choice is coffee. I don't know how good that is for me, but I'm sure you can help me out.
We'll talk about the coffee some other
We'll
time.
work on it. We're going to work on it.
One thing at a time. Now, I'm not
One
willing
step
to
at a
give up my
time.
coffee. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So tonight, I'm sorry. I keep saying tonight. See, I gotta drink more of my tea. I mean,
That's
this
okay.
morning, we're gonna, we should have a pretty good show and reference to talking about a few things. I can't wait to also bring up my guests for this morning. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dig right into it. Um,
Absolutely.
so, I came across an article that I have heard a lot about before, but it just really it led me to really bring up when it comes down to our hair products, for instance, our braids and extensions that we use for popular hairstyles, especially in particularly artificial hair. That we tend to use this stuff, but it has actually a new report has said that is actually linked to possible cancer and also lead poisoning. And I was like, wow, we really have to be careful about that. So, when we have a toxic overload that happens in our body, that can occur, of course, when we have too much of a accumulation of toxins, and it's hard for it to process or sometimes be eliminated. That's why it's so good to always detox. A lot of times people do not detox enough. Do you ladies detox at all?
I do.
Okay.
I do from time to time. I have detox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah, it's good to do a good detox to help our liver to work at its best. So sometimes, well, actually, with some of the personal care products that we get, like shampoos, lotions, and then deodorants, contain a lot of times parabens and phthalates, and then synthetic fragrances. These all can definitely disrupt our hormonal balance, right? So, not to mention, of course, like I said, with the I was really, with this recent Consumer Report study, it was really sad to see that because a lot of times we do tend to use synthetic hair. Now, I know I have used it before. I was just telling Kitty, I said I had actually purchased some hair from Amazon,
Mhm.
and it actually had made me I kept itching and everything, and I had all these welts on my neck and on my shoulder, and I'm saying, wait, what is this? So when I kind of put the hair up, I noticed I wasn't itching anymore, so I knew right away it came from the hair, right?
Mhm.
But that was synthetic hair. So synthetic hair in me does not do well. So,
You had
so
alert. You had an sounds like an allergic reaction to the hair. I've known people that have that. They can't do the
Mhm.
synthetic hair because it will itch the scalp and, like you said, get those
Right.
welts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I had definitely had an allergic reaction to it, and because I really most of the time if I do tend to use any hair, I try to always get the human hair, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one time I did, and that will probably be the last time. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful. A lot of times people ask me when they come to me too, it's like, okay, how do we know if we have any type of lead poisoning or toxic overload. And there are some things that you may want to check for. So, for instance, if you have any type of neurological symptoms, like you may be irritable,
Mm-hmm.
and Kitty, we're not going to use like we did before about the blood pressure thing. We're not going to. So yes, if you're irritable, you have difficulty concentrating, if you have memory problems and fatigue, that could be one sign, right? Also, you can have gastrointestinal symptoms like you may have abdominal pain, you may have nausea, you have vomiting, or even possibly constipation. Okay. You also want to be aware of possible your muscle and your joints. We talked about that the other week, and having stiffness and having pain and weakness in your muscles and joints. And then for children, it tends to help. It actually tends when they have lead poisoning, it gets to them when it comes down to developmental. They have developmental delays. We heard a lot about that when there was a problem with the water and they had lead in the water,
Mhm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
kids, right, and it was having problems. So lead exposure can definitely lead to learning disabilities and definitely behavioral issues as well. Um, the other thing is you want to look out for headaches. So we have frequent or severe headaches, and then of course reproductive issues. So any kind of like sometimes it can affect our fertility and also our pregnancy outcomes. Now, of course, I'm always going to recommend that you see your doctor to
Mhm.
make sure, because sometimes these symptoms that I'm mentioning could also be something else. So you want to make sure that you see your doctor to kind of like make sure it's nothing else. But there are testings that you can take to see if you have exposure to lead based upon your how you're feeling. I made sure. Did anybody have any questions about that before I go further?
Well, I've been writing things down. Me and
I
my.
know you have.
Me
I
too.
know you have.
Yep.
Yes. So some of the things, for instance, to help you to avoid lead poisoning. One is you want to make sure when it comes down to the hair products, okay, you
Mhm.
want to make sure and check that you have the best. Well, first of all, you want to make sure and check that is coming from a good company. Sometimes when we order stuff like I did, it may not be a reputable company. It may not be a reputable brand. So you make sure that you choose somebody that's well known, is a trusted brand, and has the right type of safety precautions. You want to also read the labels. I'm such a big component of reading labels, period. So you want to make sure you look for the information and the ingredients to ensure that that particular product meets the regulatory standards.
Mhm.
You want to also do a patch test. I think I should have told myself that when I when I actually had that little ponytail that I use. I didn't do a patch test. So you want to be better than that, and you want to do a patch test. You want to perform that patch test to make sure you're not having any kind of allergic reactions or any type of sensitivities. And then you want to make sure to avoid prolonged exposure. So you want to minimize the time that you wear your synthetic hair product to reduce any potential exposure. Because basically, what I'm saying is that when you have, it's okay to look beautiful, it's
Mhm.
okay to do all of that good stuff, but we want to make sure that we're not causing this to cause any kind of extra harm within our bodies. Women, we are very sensitive. Anything can disrupt our hormones immediately, and it could cause other problems. Like I just said, the study had came out that it could cause possible cancer or, like I mentioned, the lead poisoning.
So, this is really, really good information. Bunny, I have a skincare and hair care line, Opal May Simplistic Beauty, where
Mm-hmm.
I make oils. I make hair care. It's hair growth oils, and all of
Mm-hmm.
my oils are made with vitamins, herbs, and oils. And I make sure that when I'm getting my ingredients, I get them from reputable sources. I don't
Mm-hmm.
just buy off the shelf. I actually do my due diligence to make sure that what I'm putting in my products is actually the best ingredients that I can find, because you're right. If you're getting cheap ingredients, or you're getting ingredients where they're not doing the proper testing, then it's
Mm-hmm.
really going to come, it's really toxic, and it doesn't promote hair growth. Um, and it doesn't, you can actually tell, like you had an instance where you broke out. I had the same reaction one time with
Mm-hmm.
braiding hair, and
Wow.
I had to take it out immediately. Um, that
Mm-hmm.
evening, by the time I got home, I felt like there were bees all in my head, all on my neck, all on my shoulders, and I had to immediately take it out, wash my hair, and it stayed with me for a couple of days because it was on my scalp. So I implore anyone, the minute you see any type of redness or itching, to stop. I always, when I send out my products, I encourage people to do a patch test to make sure that what I'm sending you and what you're actually using is okay, and you won't have a negative reaction, to the product. So you're absolutely correct, and definitely do a patch test. Go ahead, Miss Morningstar.
So I had a question for, I guess, both of
Mm-hmm.
you, because when you both said patch tests. Now I'm
Mhm.
very familiar with patch tests because I back in my younger days, I used to be a hairstylist. I was a cosmetologist. So we used to perform patch tests prior to putting, color or chemical into our client's hair. But there was a recommendation as to where you would do the patch test on the skin, because there are some places of the skin that are more sensitive and probably will pick up, an allergic
Mm-hmm.
reaction faster. It was the bend of the arm, the inner part
Mm-hmm.
of the arm. Is that still recommended
Yes.
with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly where you do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly right. So it does pick up
All
better
right.
for you. You go, girl.
Listen, I was in high school when I went to hair school, so I can remember that.
Oh wow. So I need to. Do I need to have you come do my hair?
Girl, I hook you up now. I still do family, so I had to hook you up.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you want to definitely do that patch test to make sure,
Yeah.
because again, we don't want we want to look good, but we don't want it to be something that can cause problems. And sometimes when people come to me, some of my clients have actually said, hey, or have taken a test that I can actually test for any type of toxins like lead, for instance. And when it comes back that it was positive and pretty nicely positive, like, wait, how the heck did I get that? How did
Yeah.
I get that lead poisoning? So,
Oh.
and it just so happens that that particular client actually, she her whole head was covered with hair. So now I know for sure that she has synthetic, even though she told me it wasn't, but I believe it was. So you have to be careful, is what I'm saying, because sometimes people don't understand the correlation between the two and how this can happen. Now, there are some foods that can actually help you, because I got to tie it right back into my nutrition part. There are some foods that actually can help to actually reduce the risk of lead poisoning, to help your body to naturally detoxify and limit the lead absorption. So, for instance, calcium rich foods, yogurt, leafy greens like kale and broccoli. And this actually is a fortified plant based. You can have fortified plant based milks, can help you to reduce the lead absorption. You want to do iron rich foods like lean meats, beans, lentil, spinach. Also helps to block the lead absorption. You want to do vitamin C rich foods like citrus, oranges, grapefruit, strawberries, bell peppers, and tomatoes. Enhance the lead excretion. And then you want to also do like zinc rich foods like meat, shellfish, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. And this helps to support the immune system and helps to reduce lead absorption. And not to forget our folate rich foods, so leafy greens, legumes, and some fortified cereals helps with the and support the detoxification process. Anything and everything really ties back to the powerful plate, as I call it, and what you're putting in your body. And proper foods can help with the process of the detoxification, especially if you are doing things, like I said, with the hair that can possibly lead to any type of health condition. You also want to make sure that you take precautions in your daily life as well. And that is, you want to check for lead in your paint. You guys heard about that, I know,
Yeah.
about having lead in paint a lot of times. So, especially, I'm sorry, you was going to say something?
What I was gonna say was yes, because when you were been speaking about lead, it
Mm-hmm.
made me think about paint, and I know that years and years and years and years ago, they made a law to stop putting lead in
Yeah.
paint because children were peeling the lead and putting
Eat
it
it.
in their mouth and
Mm-hmm.
causing them to have damage to their brain. So that's why I'm like, I had wrote down a little note like, so lead is literally being put in some of
I
these
thought they stopped putting lead
hair
in paint.
products or
Well, see, the thing is that if you notice, a lot of these hair care products that we use are actually overseas,
Yeah.
and they don't have the quality control that we have here. So that's the problem. A lot of times they're just not, when I talk about quality control, they're like in factories that are not, really conducive to maybe the cleanliness.
yes, Bunny. But you know what? That just to tie it into what's going on in the world now, that terrifies me because
Yeah, me too.
the way that the tariffs and all the stuff that's being added to these, it could be a retaliation thing. Things sent over to us that are not getting checked properly. They're just getting passed through. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, it just makes you really think what you're sharing, like, of what we're doing. Like, we need to go natural.
No, well, it's a lot. That's one of the reasons why too. A lot of especially African American women, of course, we're going natural more so because of the chemicals. Is
Yeah.
also even in the perms.
The perms.
Yeah, the perms.
Yeah.
That's
The
another topic I'm going to
relaxers.
get in. Yeah, the
Yeah.
relaxers.
The
Yeah,
relaxers.
that's another one because the thing is, so many times when I do an assessment with someone, and they have different type of conditions, and they're like, how did I get that? I don't understand. Well, these are some of the things that I look at is, do you have toxin overload? Has it overburdened your system? When's the last time you actually detoxified your body? These are some of the things that sometimes, of course, when you go into your doctor's office, and I'm by no means I'm saying not to seek your doctor, is always him first, or her or she. But when you go to someone like me and functional nutrition, I work on kind of, basically get into the root cause of the problem. So I do offer extenuating testings that you would normally get in your doctor's office when you start to have these type of problems, right? But I definitely feel that you should see both, because that way, like I said, some of these symptoms could lead to other problems that might not even be what we think it could be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the scariest part about it is, you really don't know what's in any of it. But if you're doing a detox and you're trying to eat the correct, you're feeding your body the correct nutrients, at least you can be combative, somewhat combative. And then, of course, get the proper testing as well as seek professional advice from your doctor. It all ties in together, it seems. It all ties in together. But
It
go ahead.
does.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was going to say also too, the other thing is, outside of check for lead paint, you want to also test your water. And because sometimes if you have an older home, I know my home was built in the 50s, so it's older. And so you want to check to make sure that your plumbing is up to date, because sometimes older plumbing can have that problem as well. A lot of people kind of ignore that sometimes. They're like, oh, it's okay, it's you want to check for that,
It's the pipes, isn't it, Bunny? It's the
yes,
pipes. Yeah.
yes, it's the pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It is
Yeah.
definitely the pipes. So definitely seeking a professional to come to your home. They do have people to actually, because I actually had someone come to my home too to test that, because I know my house is older. So I wanted to make sure we've done work in our home, have newer piping, but there are some pipes that were not removed that are a lot older. So we want to make sure and check those type of things, right? So the water, you want to be careful of imported products like toys, jewelry, cosmetics. Um, like I said before, when it came down to the hair, these are, when it comes from overseas, I hate to say, but a lot of times it's the quality control is not there. So when they make these things, it's a lot cheaper, but you're kind of getting what you pay for, kind of thing in that
Yeah.
sense. So you have to be careful. The other thing, like I just talked about, of course, is the nutrition, making sure that we maintain that diet high in calcium, iron, and vitamin C to help to reduce the lead absorption. And also, you want to avoid soil contamination. So, like when you're gardening,
Hmm.
you want to make sure you test the soil as well, because that can have lead in it as well. So, I mean, I know it may sound a little overwhelming, guys, especially first thing in the morning to hear all of this, but I promise you, this will help for you to be in tune with what's happening. Because a lot of times you'd be surprised. You can have traces of lead. It's so easy, and you're like, where did it come from? And when you start to narrow it down, you're like, oh, it makes sense now, right? And we don't want it to lead to any other kind of condition.
Especially when you have children, you have to think.
Yes.
Thinking about yourself is one thing, absolutely, but especially when you have children, I'm thinking about the lead pipes and the water. I know there are filtration systems for your water, um, but I didn't even think about testing the soil. So I guess is that something that you would get from like maybe Home Depot, or you would have to get that to test the soil as well.
I'm not sure if if they have. I think they may have something like that, but yeah, definitely contact. Let's see, they do have these quality control type of people, environmentalists, that can come to your home, and they can tell you, because they can do those type of testings for you. If Home Depot, may not have the test, they may have it, but I'm not quite sure if they do.
Well, you got to think about it like this. A lot of people are starting to garden because the prices of food is going up and it's pretty ridiculous. So a lot of people are starting to garden, and if you're gardening directly into the soil at your home, then you may want to test that soil before you do so. We have no idea what, type of dirt these builders put down, and we have no idea what toxins are in the air and water. So
Yes,
testing would be a great idea if you're going to start gardening, so,
absolutely.
especially now.
Yeah, because it has. I mean, I'm quite sure you guys have heard stories where people have lived next to plants, chemical plants, and things of that nature, and then all of a sudden, not only do they have a high toxic burden like lead and other things of that
Hmm.
nature, but they also, I hate to say, develop cancer. And again, um, and they don't live next door to it, but it could be down the road or around a corner. But see, it's releasing things into the air, into the environment, which can cause these things to happen. There's a town, is it down south? I think it was in North Carolina, I believe it was. And they're still trying to fight to get them to close down the plant because everybody that lives there has had cancer. They've either had, ovarian
In Houston,
cancer. They
we
had,
have
well, here,
we
they
have a
had,
cluster. We have a
oh,
cancer in Houston. Uh,
really?
It's in I want to say Second Ward. It actually is. They're back and forth, going back and forth to court. They just had a new developer develop homes
Hmm.
on the land, and he's trying to sell the land. And so the people that are living there, they are dealing with cancer. Actually, my husband's ex-wife, um, she lived there, and her family lived there, and
Hmm.
they are dealing with cancer, and it's in that specific area, and there was a plant in that area. So the
Hmm.
city of Houston's dealing with it right now. So it's those cancer clusters that are doing the harm, so
Yes.
to speak.
Yes. And they're so slow to close down the plants. And they know this can cause the problem,
They
but
do.
they're so slow. You know what I mean? They do know it. They know is a simple test that you can take, but they're so slow to close out those plants. And they tend to do this or put these type of plants in areas a lot of time that are more of a poorer section type of areas. I hate to say, but that is true. They tend to put them in those type of
In
areas.
poor communities.
Yeah.
We will be right back. Let's go to a quick, excuse me, a quick commercial break. You're listening to Our Plugs, the community connection on WKRA 92.7 The Change. We will be right back.
Hey guys, yes, this is my nonprofit, Carter's Caring Hands. And what my nonprofit does, we give fresh food boxes to those families in need that's struggling to keep food on their tables. We also go out into the unhoused community, give out care bags here in the Kalamazoo, Michigan area. So if you'd like to donate to the cause, please go to www.carterscaringhands.com and donate whatever you can, so we together can uplift those families that's struggling to keep food on their tables. Highly appreciated. God bless.
Welcome to a world that sparkles. Sparkle Cakes LLC takes custom to a whole new level. You are guaranteed to find a gift for that special someone or even a customized gift for yourself. So head on over to my Etsy shop, Sparkle Cakes LLC, and start your personalized order today. I'll be waiting to hear from you. Have a great day.
www.saysomething.biz, and let's say something together.
Hi, my name is Irvin Green. I am the president of the Berg Family Reunion Club. We are a nonprofit organization, 501c3, located in the town of Leesburg, Virginia, which is about 45 minutes west of Washington, D.C. Our mission is to preserve the memories of Black descendants of Leesburg, Virginia, and support the residents of Native Black African Americans residing in the township of Leesburg, Virginia, through community building and outreach.
And we are back. You are listening to Our Plugs, the Community Connection on WKRA 92.7 The Change. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, Gail, is there anything else that we need to know? Got my tablet.
Well, I think I've pretty much, I believe, covered most of it. The other thing I just want to say is that you also want to be careful about plastics. You want to be careful about that. I know you guys probably heard about that before. It's not, a big surprise there. But, of course, plastic containers can always lead to lead too, because it releases the chemicals, the BPA. So we want to be careful about that. And processed foods, I'm not going to be a fan of that. So a lot of the times they have, artificial additives, preservatives, and colorings that can also contribute to the toxic overload of lead or any other toxins. So, some of this is things that we already just know, just common sense, but sometimes we take for granted these type of things. So just want to be careful about that, guys, and just think smarter. I know beauty is important, but it's not more important than your health.
That's right. At the end of the day, you can be beautiful, but we want to stay outside of the casket being beautiful instead of inside of the casket. That's kind of more of it. It's the truth. It's the truth. Did you want to say something, Miss Morningstar? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just in agreement. I want to feel good. So I'd rather feel good and sacrifice some things. I wear my hair natural, so I'm glad I made that change years ago.
Yes. And you always look so pretty in your hair. I said I'm gonna have to do what you do.
It took 3 years to grow these locks out, and I'm still growing them, and it's still a challenge because me being an old hairstylist, of course, you see how I did it for my birthday. So I like to switch my hair when I can. So majority of the time it's locks, but me being a hairstylist, I want to switch it up. I got the itch, but I'm okay. I'm okay.
The itch. Me myself, me and braids, but I am natural. I will say that. I just, we'll figure it out. Now that I know all of this, I'm gonna have to start looking at my brands, and that's the one thing that I will say. Let's just check out the brands and make sure that you are aware of what you're doing and putting onto your scalp, because it's next to your brain. So let's think about that and be smart about it.
Yeah, and I think the body does react. So if you get an itchy scalp, if you notice something odd from the hair, product that you choose to use or whatnot, then you should immediately take the attention, because your body is going to react to something that's not right.
Yes, it does. And the thing is that the body, and this is why I love the area that I do. The body can heal itself naturally. It really can, but it's because of the stuff that we put into our bodies. Is what where the problem comes from, right? If you have so many toxins in the body and it's not detoxifying naturally, or you're doing a detox. Imagine these things are accumulating, and then it's easier for you to become sick, and then it's also harder for you to get well when there's so many layers to the nasty stuff. So just be careful and choose the right things, and you should be just fine.
Absolutely, and I agree 1,000%. I know our next guest is Lisa. Go ahead and bring Lisa up, Miss Morningstar, and Lisa is going to speak with us tonight or this morning about
sarcoidosis. It's sarcoidosis. Yeah, sarcoidosis.
This is Bunny's guest. So welcome, Miss Lisa. Good morning.
Hi, good evening. Good morning. Oh my gosh. And good evening too. Oh my goodness.
That's okay.
Good morning.
How are you?
Hi.
Yes. Oh, well, just to kind of briefly kind of just talk a little bit about sarcoidosis is an actual inflammatory disease that affects multiple organs in the body, but primarily the lungs and the lymph nodes. And it can cause small clusters of inflammatory cells called granulomas to form in affected organs. The exact cause of sarcoidosis is unknown, but it is believed to result from an abnormal immune response. And so, like we just talked about how things can accumulate and happen. The body knows this is one of those things where it just happens, right, in an immune system. So, my dear friend, who happens to be Lisa, happens to be my best friend, and she actually works with NBC Universal, and she's very much into women's health and things of that nature. She's a senior manager over there in the SEO department. So I look to her for a lot of things. It comes down to marketing. She's really good at that. But I wanted to talk to her today and have her on as my guest because I remember when she went through this journey as being my best friend, and it was really a trying time for all of us because at first we didn't know what was happening, but I'm gonna let her explain that. So you can go ahead and you can tell us, how did it all start? What were some of the symptoms that you had?
Well, great. Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to be on the show today, and I'm happy to be sharing just my journey, and hopefully it will help someone else. I know this is not any medical advice per se, but I just wanted to definitely share what I went through, and hopefully that helps someone from the audience. But basically, I think it was approximately 10 years ago, I had started experiencing a lot of tiredness, just fatigue. My joints hurt, which was very unusual because I was just like, why are my joints feeling like burning? Like it was just a weird feeling. And I just felt off, you know? And I didn't know exactly why I felt like that, but I just continued to progress and get worse. And I went to multiple doctors and no one could tell me anything. You know, it was just a lot of testing, a lot of money spent because at the time I was in between jobs. And so it was just financially, you can imagine, I'm sure people have been in this place of just bills adding up. So, but I wanted to get down to why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. And it wasn't just in my head. You know, I think doctors sometimes may not may ignore you, but you have to get multiple opinions, and that's what I was trying to do. And then finally, ultimately, I met a doctor. I live in New Jersey. I met a doctor at one of the hospitals, and she basically told me I had something called sarcoidosis, which I was like, what? What is that? So I tried to research it, but she gave me a lot of information on it, and I understood that it was like an inflammatory disease, as Gail mentioned, and it attacks your lungs, your organs, and you have to take a steroid. In most cases, that's what doctors were prescribed. So yeah, that's kind of how it all, transpired. And then I had a journey after that of healing, which I'll share that as well. Buddy, Gail, you let me know how deep you want me to go into there. But
Well, and I remember that when you was going through this, when we, at the time it was like, what was going on, we didn't know.
right.
If I'm not mistaken, that at one time it was even affecting how you weren't able to walk, or you didn't have that strength almost. You was almost on the floor, kind of like.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it affected my organs, I guess, like my joints. So it was more like an arthritis type of feeling, I guess. And I hadn't had arthritis before, but it felt like I had pain in my joints. But it mostly affected my lungs. So I had like a deep cough, that
Mhm.
and the malaise, so just feeling under the weather and not really understanding what that is, and not getting any kind of clue as to what exactly was happening, was also making me feel worse too, because I was like, what is this, so
Mhm. Mhm.
but once I found out I had sarcoidosis, I was able to do some research, and then I met in the hospital. This is just by fate, and it was actually my father who actually talked to the person, because they put me on the heart floor, And there was a lady up there. Her name was Belinda, and she was just on my floor. She was in my room with me. She was like, "Why are you in here? You're so young. You shouldn't be in here. Like, do you have a heart condition?" I was like, "No, they just put me here because I don't, they're just waiting to find the right floor to put me on."
Ladies, I hate to interrupt, but we're getting some really bad feedback. Gail, can you go on mute when Lisa's talking? Because I
Sure.
think it's the
Yes.
mics. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
There we go. Yeah, and come to find out, she also had sarcoidosis. You have to believe in signs, right? So that was just a sign. Like, how would this woman actually have the same thing I had? But she had advanced sarcoidosis, and she's actually Mary McCloy Bethune's great great granddaughter. Isn't that wild? So this became a really great friendship. But she gave me some information on holistic healing and everything, and she said, I wish I'd stayed with it because I would have gotten better. But here I am, and she had advanced sarcoidosis, and she had issues with her heart. Because, like I said, sarcoidosis can affect multiple organs in your body. So I went on this journey, and my mother started juicing for me. I met through this woman. I met a man named Malcolm, who was like a holistic Ayurvedic healer, and he told me about turmeric. He told me about, which is a spice. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of turmeric, but it's an anti-inflammatory spice. And he told me about juicing and told me about detoxing. I know at the beginning of the show, we talked about detoxing, and he said that is what you need to do. And at first, I was like, "Listen, I love my Dunkin' Donuts, lattes, and I was consuming a lot of sugar, right?" And I did. I started on this journey of detox, and I don't want to claim that I was healed, but I went less than 2 or 3 weeks. I started to feel progressively better. I was detoxing with green juice. My mom was juicing, and I started using these herbs of the turmeric and everything in my cooking, and I got extremely better. So I just
I have a
wanted to,
question, Lisa.
yeah.
I have a
Mhm.
question. So, are you saying turmeric?
Yes,
Okay,
turmeric.
turmeric.
Yes, I was put.
Everybody pronounces it differently. Don't.
Yeah, yes.
Um, so, and you said you started juicing with turmeric.
Well, I started juicing. The juicing was more like kale,
Mhm.
spinach, apple, lemon, just a
Super, those
combination
are the superfoods. And
The
of
my
super.
husband does
superfoods,
a lot of juicing. So, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Lisa.
and spirulina and wheatgrass,
Yeah,
right? So at
yes.
first I was like, "What is this?"
I know,
But
right?
Mhm,
Those have, of
mhm.
course, I hope it's not too staticky now, but I
Yeah.
was going to say that those have the necessary vitamins and minerals and antioxidants to help with our immune system, being it's an immune type of condition. And the thing is, too, which is so important, is that this actually affects more of Black people or African Americans, whatever you want to call that. We have 35 to 64 cases per 100,000 people. So it's more prevalent out there than is really talked about. It's one of those things that's like, that's why it took a moment for them to know what was going on with her, because it is out there, but it's not a lot of information about how, what, and when, and all that other good stuff. So that's why I wanted to bring this particular topic to the floor, because I felt that it was important for people to hear that are listening out there that could be experiencing this. Of course, you want to, again, make sure your doctor is able to check for this.
Okay, I have another question. Because I have a ball of questions. So, when you say detoxing, I do a detox cleanse, but can you tell our listeners out there how often do you recommend that people detox? And I know that people are different, but just a general cleanse, a general detoxing. What would you recommend, Gail?
Yeah, so you want to definitely detox your liver. And the liver has 3 stages of detoxification. So when I say detox, I'm not just basically saying, take a particular liquid, and then that's going to do it. There are more healthier solutions on detoxing where you can eat certain foods, eliminate certain foods, and eat certain foods during your detox and then bring it back into the system. And then there are some things that you can take to help with that in cleaning out your liver, right? Because the liver is like your filter. So you don't want, just like how you have your filter and with your air conditioner, you have to clean that out. It's the same thing. You see all the stuff that can get trapped in if you don't clean out the filter. So you want to definitely detox at least, I would say, at least 2 to 3 times a year, a really good deep detox. You don't have to, excuse me, you don't have to detox every single day or every single week. Some people do like a little light detoxing. Maybe they might not eat certain things at a certain time, but that's not the kind of detoxing I'm referring to. I'm referring to more of a liver detox, and with that, you don't have to do it as often, but you want to do it at least 2 to 3 times in a year.
I would just say I was more aggressive with it at the time because of my illness, right? So I was doing it like every day, and it was like a serious, effort. I would definitely, try to make sure that, I was staying with it because it can be time consuming to get all of the fruits and vegetables and prepare everything. But because of the stage of my illness and how sick I was, it was like top priority. So, that's just, I just wanted to add that.
And what are some of the things that you are experiencing now?
Mhm.
Now that the acute symptoms have gone away, thank God. What are some of the things that you're living with now with this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do have occasional flare-ups, specifically with my eyes, occasionally with my lungs. So I do sometimes I do keep in touch with my eye doctor to get steroids drops for my eyes because inflammation can cause scar tissue in the body. So what you want to make sure I had to do is to make sure I eliminate any of the inflammation so it doesn't develop into scar tissue. But I know I have to really listen to my body, right? So triggers, stress. Stress is definitely something that will trigger inflammation. I work in news. It is very fast paced, so I do get stressed out a lot. And eliminating sugar, I do like an occasional, smoothie with extra agave in it or honey. And so I have to be mindful of my sugar intake because when I do get stressed, I also do want something sweet. So all of those things I have to be very mindful where I didn't have to worry about that before, and I know now that if I get a trigger, like if something triggers it, I know, okay, I must be stressed out, something's going on, and I have to listen to my body.
Yeah, that exactly. You know me, I'm always talking about that when we talk about how that is so important to definitely the stress. A few episodes ago I talked about stress. I know I'm going to revisit it again because I know that stress does affect our immune system. It actually allows us to, or allows the body. It lowers the fighting capability of different disease because we encounter all kind of things all day long. We're encountering all kind of things no matter where we go, who we're talking to, and for the most part our body can pretty much take care of it for us and prevent any kind of further illness. But there are some times where if we're really stressed out, the defense team, I call it, they're not working so good. And so it's so easy for something to penetrate your body and cause these type of autoimmune types of symptoms that people tend to have. Sometimes they can also be hereditary too. So you want to definitely get checked for these type of things. If you experience anything like this type of way, you want to make sure and get yourself checked as soon as possible before anything further can happen to you. And with that being said, did you have any further things that you wanted to say about having sarcoidosis and anything that lasting that you can tell the listeners out there this morning?
No, just your health is your wealth. I know people say that, but it's the true statement. Without your health, you definitely, can't really be, feeling great, feeling, successful, and just feeling good within who you are. And I think you also, for me, it's getting second opinions and being your own advocate. It's like, yes, you can go to your doctor, but you also have to continue to do research. If you feel like something's off, you continue to press. And that's something that I had to learn along the way, to continue to advocate for myself and really, really get to the root of like, okay, what else am I going to do to ensure that I'm also, really living a healthy lifestyle? So it was really on me to make sure I advocate for myself. Thank you.
This is really informative. I do have just a couple questions for you, Lisa.
Sure.
So, what were some of the signs that you had initially? I know Gail had explained that you had it was your limbs, but was there anything that really stuck out that said, okay, something's going
Yes,
on? Yeah, go ahead.
that's a great, because initially I swore I must, because it was summertime, and I had just came back from Virginia, and I was out on visiting family, and they have a farm, so I thought I was bit by like a tick or something, and I was like, why is my ankle swollen,
I
and
remember that. I remember
very
that.
itchy, and it was just out of nowhere, right? And so I just started to feel this itchiness and this swelling of my ankles, and then my elbows were like burning and itching. So it was definitely like those areas of my limbs that were very burny and itchy, and I was like, what is going on here? And then I started to develop a cough out of nowhere. I wasn't like extremely like coming from a cold or anything. So it was just gradual. Those things started to become more, and then it was like the fatigue was so bad. Like I would have to take naps multiple times throughout the day. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very informative because we've got so many people out listening, and you never know who needs to hear this message. So we really do appreciate you coming up and sharing this with us this morning. It's truly, truly valuable, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I
But
really appreciate
I
it.
do, and I do have a question as
Sure.
well. I wanted to know, Gail, what kind of recommended, or do you have a recommended detox that you would recommend people to use? Like, there's a lot of different detoxes. You can go into GNC and find liver detoxes. Do you recommend doing that, or is there another way?
Well, for when it comes down to a deep liver detox, you definitely want to be careful because you're dealing with your liver, and there are three phases of that type of detoxification. So it's a little bit different. Sure, you can go into DNC and you can get something that's like kind of like a more milder type of detox, but this is more of like a deep, deep detox to really clean out your filter, which is your liver. So I would definitely suggest, yes, there are some that are physician backed. You want to seek your doctor or someone like myself that have those type of detoxifications. So this way, we can monitor you as you're going through that process.
Okay, so you're saying basically for the deep detox, go get an actual prescription for the
Yes.
medication
So,
or a
so you
plan.
Yeah, so what you want to do is you want to go to your either your physician, that sometimes the physicians may offer those type of things, especially if it's someone who's in functional type of medicine like myself. Or
Hmm.
I, as me as a nutritionist, a functional nutritionist, I also offer more of a deeper type of liver three phases of detoxification, and it's a great way to to monitor you. It's a physician backed program, so this way you it's more safer than sometimes if somebody just tell you, because sometimes people can sell you detoxes, right? And those are not deep detoxes, and also they're not able to monitor you through that process, because you will experience certain symptoms during that time of detoxing. You may feel dizzy, you may have some fatigue, maybe your blood pressure may drop down lower, right? Because your body's detoxing all of those toxins that you have. And the more toxic buildup that you have, the more symptoms that you may end up having. So you just want to make sure that any type of program like that you want to be monitored by your doctor or someone like myself as a functional nutritionist.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, this is some great information. I mean, you can never go wrong if it's your health. You really want to know exactly what, when, why, how. You want to know all of the details because that's all we have. You know, you can be the richest person in the world with the worst type of health there is, and you know, you're truly poor. You know, your time is limited. So we really appreciate you, Gail, for coming every Monday morning and giving us such good knowledge. And I hope our listeners are out there. You guys are taking notes, because this is some valuable information. Me myself personally, I try and take notes and try and go back on my notes, because you know, as you get older, you know, every day it's a struggle. And if it's not like our parents say, if it's not one thing, it's another. You know, go ahead, Miss Morningstar.
You know what? One last question. I'm not gonna be the kid in the class raising the hand every 5 minutes, but how how do you go about, if you're at your doctor, asking them that you would like to get tested for sarcoidosis? Is that
Oh,
something you ask, or Lisa, maybe
that's
you
a
can help
great
me?
question. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so. The doctor that I had, she was black and she knew, and so that was the interesting part too. A lot of doctors that I went to had never heard of this, so they had said, "Oh, you could have uh, rheumatoid arthritis." I had one doctor say that. Another doctor scared me, was like, "Oh, well, you could have, some kind of lymphoma," and it was a lot of different assumptions, right? However, this one doctor, she tested me, and she did a like some scans, and she saw granulomas on my lungs. Granulomas are like small nodules, and they were on my lungs. That was an indicator, like of kind of like the presence of sarcoidosis. And she also looked at my joints, and so she connected the dots. And she was like, "That's," she said, "I'm pretty confident that that's what you had." So there was no formal uh test done to say, okay, and now they do have blood tests that they can see that. But at the time, for some reason, it was just like she had to piece it together, and that's how she came to the assessment.
That's good.
Hmm.
And that, you know what, for our listeners out there, do not be afraid to switch doctors. Do not
Yes,
be afraid to get second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions. Do not be satisfied with just, one answers, or, oh no, you just have this. You know your body better than anybody else, because we live in our body. We know when something is not correct. So, yes, thank you, Lisa, for sharing that. That's helpful.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And yes, thank you so much, because that's the one thing that we are learning and we have learned over the years, that unfortunately we have to fight for our health care. We have to fight to make sure that our physicians actually do the tests that we need them to do, because for whatever reason, um, unless you have the proper doctor who's really trying to figure it out, we have to be proactive within ourselves. We have to actually take the initiative and not just take, oh, well, my doctor says I have this. Maybe do a deeper dive, investigate what your doctor is saying, and get a second and third opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. This is your health, and your health is most important. We're coming to the end of the show. We want to thank you for tuning in. Please stay tuned. We're going to say our few last words, and make sure you check back with us tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we will be discussing Veterans Voice, as well as our mentors coming out and giving us some more nuggets. Gail, if you would, can you give our listeners uh, a few last words? Go ahead and say your final statements, and then we're going to go ahead and pass it on to Lisa.
Yes. So again, guys, if you experience anything like shortness of breath, any type of rashes, because that sarcoidosis can cause the rashes on your skin. If you're, any of those type of symptoms, if your body's just off, you want to make sure that you check with your physician. Okay, and like we're also talking about getting a second opinion, because even though this is more popular among African American people because it can happen with women and men, is still something that all of the stats have not come back yet on it. As far as like in my friend's case, Lisa, it just so happens that there were some tall tale signs that the doctor was familiar with, but maybe your doctor may not be familiar with. So you want to get that second opinion, but just always know your body. Listen to what your body's telling you. It will not steer you wrong.
All right, we've got about 30 more seconds before we have to go ahead and end the show. Lisa, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. We appreciate you. Miss Morningstar, you want to tune in? All right, you guys, you have a wonderful morning. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy this beautiful day. And thank you so much for listening to Our Plugs, the Community Connection on WKRA 92.7, The Change.
Have a good day, everyone. Thank you guys for coming.
Hey y'all,
Thank you
it's
so
DJ
much.
Kitty and Miss Morningstar. We are here from Our Plugs, the Community Connection, and we will be your new morning host on WKRA 92.7 The Change. Yes, we will be broadcasting Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll also be streaming on YouTube at Our Plugs LLC. Be sure to tune in. Hey y'all, it's